Hi, this is George King with the blog Dancing with Delirium, or if you're living in the southern United Kingdom, Dancing with Delirium. And this is just a quick post to ensure that you heard the news this week that the Federal Drug Administration has approved a new drug, Kisunla, also known as donanemab, which is manufactured by Eli Lilly and Company and slows the progress of Alzheimer's disease in its early stages. Kisunla is similar to the drug that I was taking earlier this year, Leqembi, which was approved last year. Both are intravenous infusions that attack a protein involved in Alzheimer's, and both can slow the unfolding of dementia. And Kisunla has a significant difference that may appeal to patients, doctors, and insurers. Lilly says patients can stop the drug after it clears the protein amyloid, which clumps into plaques in the brain of people with Alzheimer's. I'm seeking to resume treatment with Leqembi or potentially switch to Kisunla, and we'll be back on the dance floor later this month with an update about that. Thanks. Stay tuned.
The most important thing to measure this disease is how are you feeling, how are you doing in your daily life, and how people around you feel how you're doing. Because in the end, it's about disability. I mean, it's about, I can't do the Wordle, or, I've got all this great technology and I keep on making mistakes with it and I really want to use it, or any number of those activities. And the bottom line, that to me is the key. How is the disease affecting George King's ability to be George?
I interviewed Jason Karlowich earlier this year for this blog. You'll be seeing more of him in the weeks ahead. Today's New York Times quoted Jason in an article describing a breakthrough in testing for Alzheimer's disease. So that's what I want to talk about today. This new study, conducted in Sweden, was announced yesterday at the Alzheimer's Association's International Conference in Philadelphia. A blood test has proven to be 90% accurate in diagnosing the disease. This is a significant breakthrough that may eventually allow your family doctor to be able to test for the disease in a routine annual checkup. The pathology of Alzheimer's disease can begin developing 20 years before any symptoms are detected. So, early diagnosis increases the options for treatment and care. Think of the life-saving impact of mammograms or testing cholesterol levels. The Swedish test focuses on the detection of tau, one of the two proteins strongly associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease. The study, involving 200 patients, discovered that primary care doctors evaluating patients for Alzheimer's were wrong 35 to 40% of the time. The new blood test proved inaccurate in only 10% of the cases. I will be attending the international conference virtually later in the week and will report back. See you then. So what happened at my visit to the Emory Brain Health Center on Tuesday? Well, initially nothing. After months of waiting for the appointment, I arrived to learn that the tester had gotten ill 20 minutes before my arrival and they had to reschedule the test. But 3 days later I returned and was ushered into a testing room. The tester was bright, cheerful, attentive and professional. She administered the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, known by the initials MOCA, perhaps the most frequently used test for patients seeking evaluation of memory or other cognitive concerns. The following is edited from their website. The Montreal Cognitive Assessment, in use since 2005 or so, is a brief 30-question test that helps healthcare professionals detect cognitive impairments very early on, allowing for faster diagnosis and patient care. MOCA is the most sensitive test available for detecting Alzheimer's disease, measuring executive functions, and multiple cognitive domains, which are important components not measured by the MMSC. The MMSC is the Mini Mental State Examination, a simpler test for cognitive impairment that might be administered by your family doctor. The original MoCA, along with newly validated digital and paper versions, is used around the world in over 100 languages and dialects. The testing takes about an hour to administer and probably begins with some basic questions. What's today's date? Where are you at this moment? Etc. This is followed by various verbal, written, and drawn components. For example, you might be asked to draw a clock face with all the numbers and the clock hands set to 10 past 4 or some similar time. Or you may be given a code, A equals 5, B equals 7, C equals 9, etc., and asked to replace the letters in a sequence with the numbers from the code. Or the tester will slowly read a series of 15 to 20 basic words like hat, church, river, orange, etc., and then ask you, which words can you remember? This particular exercise is often repeated later using the same words. You can find examples of the types of questions on the MoCA website. But recognize this is not an exam you're trying to ace. It's a test of the state of your mental cognition. So practicing, for example, won't lead to a more accurate evaluation. Although the tester was aware I was seeking a second opinion, there was an extensive online questionnaire to fill out prior to arrival, I wanted to make sure she was aware that I was actively seeking to move to the care of the Emory Brain Health Center team. She said she understood and that that would indeed be feasible. So now I wait for the results. I think the tester said 3 weeks. I anticipate there will be a follow-up visit to go over their evaluation of the test and the next steps under their care. Personally, this represents a great step forward in eventually accessing potential treatments now available that slow the impact of early-stage Alzheimer's disease. I'm back, baby! See you on the dance floor. Hi, this is George King with the blog Dancing with Delirium, an account of my life with Alzheimer's disease. So this week, we're going to do a recap. Last August, I was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's disease and became one of the first people in the United States to receive Leqembi, also known as lecanemab, the first medication proven to slow the impact of the disease in its early stages. The transfusion costs were fortunately covered under Medicare. 6 months later, my neurologist stopped the treatment because of concerns about the blood thinners I was taking for unrelated health issues. My subsequent research has revealed that this was a decision I wish we'd made together. Opinions vary in the field, but neurologists I have spoken to advise me that the trials and test groups for Leqembi included people taking blood thinners. Ultimately, I feel it's a risk-benefit question. I feel the reality is that pretty much any medication prescribed today comes with some risks attached. I made a decision at the time to seek a second opinion and was able to make an appointment at the Emory Brain Health Center here in Atlanta. So next week, I will embark on a new journey. When someone is concerned about their memory or other mental faculties, they should talk to their doctor. If the doctor thinks there is cause for concern, they will probably suggest you make an appointment with a neurologist, possibly at a memory center like the one I'm visiting next week. These new institutions are springing up. They're designed to diagnose and treat dementia in its various forms. Despite my prior diagnosis, I believe they will start over at Emory, beginning with cognitive testing. I plan to report in on the experience, giving an account of what people might expect when they make such an appointment. Although I suspect this process will take a while, my hope is that if I get a green light from the neurologists, I'll be able to resume treatment with Leqembi, or perhaps switch to Kisunla, Eli Lilly's similar medication, which the FDA approved last week for the treatment of early-stage Alzheimer's. So check back next week, take another twirl on the dance floor, and find out what happened.